It's that time of night where we're diving into the Week 14 matchups in the NFL. We're going to cover our top 8 matchups that we think have the most, excitement or non-excitement based off of the fact that I have a team in here that we cover each and every week, regardless of how bad they are or how good they are.
Yeah, but they're playing an exciting team, Chris.
They're playing an exciting team. So we'll take it. But we are going to get going on this one because we have some best bets that we got to reveal. And we also are going to talk about why we like some of these matchups as much as we do. First one here, Scotty, is Dolphins and Chargers. We're going to dive into this one first. And Dolphins and Chargers are in this matchup that's going to be super fascinating. Chargers, obviously, underachieving. Dolphins are playing pretty solid outside of their little hiccup they had against a pretty good defense last week. But, when you run into a 49ers defense that's the best in the league, which is one of my best bets of the week last week, it felt like it was going to be a situation where it might be a tough go for the Miami Dolphins. But I think they bounced back this week. Dolphins are right now favored by 3 in Los Angeles, facing the Chargers team. Over-under set at 52. Scotty, this is one of my best bets of the week, and I have Miami in this one. Miami just got crushed, like I said, by an elite defense in San Francisco. The Chargers is not as tough as that one. Let's just put it that way. They're bad against the run, but they're 24th in pass yards per play, 31st in yards per play overall, 24th in sack percentage. This is a dream matchup for Tyreek. Tyreek is going to feast on this defense of the Chargers. Chargers find ways to lose games, and this is a massive coaching edge, in my opinion, for the Miami Dolphins. I think that they have the better coach in this one.
Just because you want to hang out with him.
Just because I want to hang out with him and I want him at my dinner table. That's all I really want. So I'm trying to butter him up so that way he's hey.
You're going to literally apply butter to him. Like he's a roll.
I can probably drop a couple bars local to Smoky Hill High School that he might remember from back of his time. Yeah. And he would be like, hey, let's go hang out with those ActionLab boys over there at a couple of these spots. Hey, McDaniel. Hey,
he's probably thinking about it right now.
Someone clip this and send this to McDaniel's Twitter or something. So that way we can, have him when he comes in the offseason be a part of, either a little get-together here over by Smoky Hill High School, or we could just have him as a guest on our show. But I love the Dolphins -3 in this matchup. I think they get it done against the Chargers team, who can't really defend very well and have looked kind of like average offensively in recent weeks, most weeks. But that's what I got here. Well, Scotty, what do you think about this one?
I don't have a strong feel either way. I feel like the line's pretty good at where it's at. I think the Chargers will keep it close. I think moving to Sunday night, I think Herbert's going to play well on Sunday night. I think the Dolphins are going to be very difficult to cover. I agree for the Chargers. I did see an interesting stat today. For all the love that Herbert gets, right, around, in the media, in the league or whatever, since he started, he is number 2 in quarterback losses in the league.
Seriously?
Which is wild to think about. Yeah, right? Really weird.
What?
But some of that's due to injury with some quarterbacks. Some of that's due to, if a quarterback's bad, he gets benched or whatever. So, he probably, his winning percentage isn't near that. But overall losses, he's only behind Matt Ryan.
Oh, no.
Since he entered the league.
You mean Marty? Marty Ryan? Marty Ice?
Mm-hmm. Marty Ice is last, and Justin Herbert is number 2.
This is what I'm talking about, guys.
They just don't win. Now, the Dolphins obviously coming off a game where Tua was bad. Every report I've seen is Tua just missed wide open guys. Guys were getting open because you know what? Tyreek and Waddle can kind of get open. Not that difficult. Nothing against Mike McDaniel. I appreciate him his offensive scheme as well. When you combine the 3, Tua just has to be average, and he's going to be just fine. Ironically, he threw a 75-yard touchdown first play of the game. First play of the game to wasn't even into one of those two. It was Sheffield. And then from there was just bad. So this one now moves to Sunday night because your Broncos couldn't
close the deal.
keep up the deal in order to keep the Broncos Chiefs on Sunday night. So
goodness.
We'll be covering this one on Sunday. I don't have a lean, honestly, either way. If anything, I thought about it, teasing up the Chargers because I don't think they lose by double digits. But I stayed away from this game.
I think this feels like a Dolphins get back right spot after a bad showing in San Francisco against a really, really good defense. So, going from a really, really, really good defense, like the best in the league, literally, to a defense like this will be a breath of fresh air for the Miami Dolphins offense. And I just think it's going to be hard for Justin Herbert to keep pace with that. Especially, taking Eckler out of the game if you get a nice lead in this one. What
if Tua sucks again though?
Against the defense that's like
no. Last week guys were wide open and Tua just missed them. It wasn't anything the defense was doing.
They'll tighten those screws up against the 24th pass yards per play defense in the Chargers. So regardless, you run the ball, open it up because you can't stop the run. Then you open up the defense. You're gonna have all day to just pass the ball wherever you want. Even if you miss some, you're going to get most of the other ones. I don't know. I think the Dolphins will be in a good spot. Reckoning if QB wins aren't a stat, QB losses aren't either. Yeah, but he's not winning games.
Yeah, there's just something off. I agree QB wins aren't fully a stat, but that doesn't mean you can't attribute some of those numbers to players. I think there's some correlation, but for people to throw out, well, this guy's gone 10-2, so he should absolutely be the MVP of the league. No, I'm not going there, but there's got to be a little bit of correlation. I'm not saying the end all be all by any means. QB stats is a small portion of everything, but it counts. It counts. Because some of these numbers, if he's losing all the time, are empty numbers. They're empty numbers. They're empty stats.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Vikings and we have the Lions here. Lions favored at home against a team like the Vikings here who, if you were to tell me the Vikings would be underdogs going into Detroit, I'd be like, man, that's kind of a crazy thing there to think about. But here we are. We have the Vikings plus 2.5 against the favorite Lions in Detroit. 52.5 is the over under here. So, decent scoring game for sure.
That's a high scoring game.
That's a decent scoring game for sure. And Detroit minus 140 money line. Minnesota's plus 118. We were talking a lot about with Chair. I don't know if Sherman's in here. I think he said he was at somewhere and that he was going to drive home. He was going to listen in on it. But this is an interesting one because it's hard for me to think this is one of our best. I don't know. No, you're not on this one. I don't think, Scotty.
I am not.
I teased this one up as one of my best bets. So
I
Minnesota
thought about that
plus 2.5. I teased it up 6 points to 8.5, which is a nice solid number for a teaser. Anything that's 2.5, you kind of get that solid number at 2.5 that you could tease up to 8.5 is always kind of like that golden number. But the Lions are 40-14 at home over the Jaguars officially. So 40-14 win at home over the Jaguars officially signals them as the above average team, right? But Minnesota in this one, the Vikings won and covered, but the stats behind the scoreboard were a little different, right? I think the Lions' dramatic shift in this matchup strength, even with the Detroit defense coming off its best game of the year, Vikings' 2 losses have come against the 2 of the best defenses in the league, right? So, when they've lost these matchups, it's been against some good teams. I think they can cover and win here. I don't expect this to be like a super blowout by any means. I don't think that this is going to one way or another. which is why I teased them up. I think Minnesota can keep this one close enough in a just a shootout. I don't think Detroit runs away from Minnesota by any means in this game. So I will go ahead. I'll tease this up. I'll put it at 8.5. I feel good about Minnesota getting that and keeping this within reach. Do I think they win? I think they do, but it's good to have the 8.5.
Yeah, no, and I went in thinking I was gonna do that too. I was gonna tease the Vikings up to 8.5. That made a lot of sense to me too. I ended up not doing it based off of listening to another podcast or whatever. Based off of that person being certain, like the Lions are gonna blow them out. Like they'll win by 10 plus, no doubt. Now, if this is a close game, I think probably the Vikings win. And this is another reason I didn't tease it. Like if it's a close game, I think Vikings win. If it's not a close game, I think it's a Lions blowout. Interesting. The guy I follow that I trust a lot, Chris, has the Vikings, who are 10-2, as minus 0.5. So a half point worse than an average football team in the NFL.
Interesting.
He has Seattle at 0, so average. New England, average. Tennessee, average. The Jets, a half point better. Cleveland, a half point better. Tampa Bay, a half point better. And he has Minnesota at minus a half point.
Well, we were talking about this in the Discord of like, what does this line say for how good the Vegas really
I didn't want to
thinks-
ruin. You threw it out there, yeah.
how much Vegas really thinks this team, how good this team really is.
It's less, yeah. Chairman thought it was about the Lions, and I agreed with your sentiment, which was,
yeah,
it's more about Minnesota.
It's more, it is more about Minnesota, and I mean, if you're looking at this, Minnesota is not a bad team. They're 10-2. We're talking about a 10-2 team being underdogs on the road against a 5-7 team here, and they're like,
and a 2.5 point underdog. That's basically saying these are like at minimum these are equal teams,
even teams. Yes, it's wild. This is a wild line. I think this is wild. That's why I just like, it's hard for me not to take the Vikings plus 8. I think that the Vikings will be more competitive in this one. Like you said, it could be go either way. I think it's going to be more on the close side, which is why I think the Vikings could win outright. And then to have the bonus points, I'll take it. Next,
I agree. I mean, you're probably safe, but I just think it's going to be. I think both teams are going to score in that one.
It's so
for sure.
It's so crazy. Next up, Jets at Bills. Jets at Bills here. Spread is 9.5 in favor of the Bills. Over under 44. We had some news coming down this week that Von Miller was not going to be playing because turns out it was an ACL surgery that he ended up getting, which is
he hasn't got it. He went under for surgery for what they thought he had, and when they were doing the surgery, they were like, "Oh, dude, you tore your ACL." So I think he's getting it like tomorrow.
Which people were like kind of going back and forth with on whether or not that, like, he had an ACL tear, because a lot of people were saying no, he doesn't have it, but honestly, I think this could be a low scoring game. I mean, the over-under's at 44. I think I wanted to get it at 44, but it dropped to 43.5. I like the under in this game a lot. I think that, the Jets dealt the Bills over one of their 3 losses.
You keep talking. I'm going to do my first code yellow. Sorry.
Go spam code yellow in the chat. Go ahead, guys. Scotty will be back shortly. He's got to take care of business. Jets scored 20 points behind Zach Wilson at quarterback in that game and had seemingly upgraded at the position. But Mike White has gotten to face off against 2 bad pass defenses in his first 2 starts. So with that being said, like, he was able to take advantage of those, but Buffalo's defense has, a little bit more to throw at the New York Jets this time around. Do I think that this game is a little lower scoring? Yes. The Buffalo defense gained Tre'Davious White since week 9, meeting and just, excelled against the Patriots offense there. This feels like a defensive struggle to me, and I think this is where the under comes into play. But it wasn't available for me at 43.5. I liked it more at that than I did 44 at a key number. So I stayed off of it as a best bet, but I think this is a low-scoring game. I think that's where this one resides. Bills should come away with an easy win in this one from a side standpoint. I don't know if I love betting either side, but if I had to, I'd lean on the Buffalo Bills to cover double-digit lead against the Jets in this one. I think this is a matchup that the Bills need to have in order to keep pace and get that home field advantage in the playoffs. So, I mean, you're tracking with Kansas City in this one, right? So, I think this is a big one. I think the Bills could potentially cover. I didn't touch the sides though. Buffalo should win this game easily in Buffalo, but that's where I'm at on this sides. Scotty will have his analysis when he gets back in the chat. Let me see what we got here. We got some code yellow spamming. First of all, Bruins defeat the Avalanche. Bruins look good, by the way. Bruins look good. Thanks for the sports bot to keep us up to date with a lot of these things. But Bruins are at the top of the league, pretty much. Avalanche champions, but struggling early on. They've been getting blown out actually recently. So Milwaukee's, hey, at least the Packers can't lose this week. I mean, true. You're true. It's true. You're not wrong. But guys, what do you guys think about this week? I mean, it's kind of quiet in the chat tonight. I would expect, we had a lot more people hanging out in the chat, but guys, if you guys are here hanging out, let us know your thoughts on these games. Let us know what you got. But love the under in this one, I think, especially if it's a 44. Scotty, what do you got? I'm going to take my second code yellow.
Chris, earlier on your first code yellow, I said it was the earliest in our show's history. So I asked people to send T's and P's, thoughts and prayers out for your small brother.
Thoughts and prayers.
So
there we go.
It hasn't worked yet, but hopefully if people keep putting you in their thoughts and prayers, it'll get better.
Boom. There you go. The more you know.
I honestly have no idea what Chris said about this one, but for me, and spam code yellow, of course, in the chat. I think last week I went like 8 times to the bathroom, so I'm really joking about the small bladder. It might even be me that takes prize on that one. So, I don't know what Chris. This was very close to a bet of the week for me. I have a very strong lean on the Jets. I just think we have division opponents here. I think in a low-scoring game where the over-under is 44, I think the Jets are better off with Mike White. They beat the Bills earlier. That was actually my concern, is the Bills being mad about a revenge game. I think the Bills getting the news of Von Miller can be a bit of I guess they could go one of two ways in this game. They could be let down a little bit and not play as great, or they could be in this game oh, we can prove we can win without Von. I think that's a huge loss moving forward in the postseason, especially for Buffalo. Not that they can't win it without Von. Of course they can. I just think losing Von Miller is the single biggest loss for any potential Super Bowl contender thus far in the season. I think it's a big loss for him. I think with Von Miller, they're right at the top. Without Von Miller, are they at the top? I mean, they're still very close. They're a very great team. I think the Jets, Mike White, this defense, the Bills offense can be inconsistent, especially recently after the whole UCL thing with Josh Allen's elbow. You don't always know what to expect with them offensively. I think 9.5 is too much here. I think it moves down eventually. I have a very, very strong lean on the Jets here. I think the Bills win the game, but if I had 5 picks, this was my 5th pick. I like the Jets plus 9.5.
I had a 5th pick that I was going back. I literally changed one of my the one that I sent you, Scotty. That was I could have swapped in. I went back and forth 4 times on whether or not I wanted that one or the other one. but I'll reveal that at the end here.
And this one came down with another 9.5 point spread that we'll get into later, where I took a stupid team in that one. Probably gonna regret it, but
let's go, my man. Eagles at Giants. I don't know. I wish we had G Girl in here for this conversation, but Eagles and Giants. Eagles favored by 7 going into New York, or I should say New Jersey, because that's where they play. And this one, 44.5 over under. Philadelphia by far is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC. I think that they've locked themselves in based off of how they've been playing defense. Their offense have just been clicking. And Giants, I think, can slow this game down a little bit. I think with, Saquon and how they kind of, muddy up games a little bit, I think they can make this game a little bit closer. I didn't touch this game. I think this might be a division matchup that might be a little bit closer than what people expect, but I stayed off it just because I didn't really have a great feel on either side or the over-under. So not one of my best bets of the week, but I think this could be a fairly competitive game. I think the Eagles end up coming away with a close one, but this is a tough one.
Yeah. Real quick in the chat, keep close. Boys, my frogs effing made it. I don't know why I say effing. I say the other word all the time. We fucking made it.
Fucking made it.
7th of the Big 12. What happened? Congrats. Keep close. Enjoy this moment. I said we talked about the college football playoff earlier, where we think that's going to go, but I have mad respect to your quarterback Max, who looked like he was dying on the field in the Big 12 championship game, gave his heart and soul on the line, and I did say earlier the winner of the game between them and Michigan I would probably cheer for, although I think Georgia is going to be very, very tough to beat. Anyway, getting back here to this game, I was very, very close to actually taking the Eagles in a teaser, taking them down to -1, where they basically just have to win this game. I mean, we're kind of slowly kind of figuring out that the Giants are who we thought they were, Chris.
Yep.
In the words of
oh boy,
who's that coach for Arizona? Can't think of his name right now. Big dude. Big dude. Anyway.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yep. So the Giants are just limited, and it concerns me. The Eagles played obviously phenomenal football last week, absolutely taking it to a Tennessee team that doesn't blow out teams, but they keep games close. And guess what? That game was not close last week. Tennessee got themselves handed to them.
Denny Green,
like they haven't since like week 1. Denny Green, yeah, thank you. So Eagles are playing a little bit better football right now. The Giants tied last week, which should just count as 2 losses.
Just
that should be losses for each team. There is no tie. Everyone is like, oh, I can't believe teams tie in the World Cup. That's why soccer is the worst. And then the Giants and Commanders go ahead and tie. So Go fuck yourselves, guys. All right. And it's worse in football. It's worse because it's not that hard. Like, they went to overtime and neither team even attempted, got in field goal range. All right. Neither team even, it's not like, oh, we missed tragic field goals or whatever. Yeah. Count that salty counter wreck. Count it. I don't care. I just,
ties are worse in football, but in NFL football, because it's not expected and there shouldn't be ties. Soccer, football, the ties are kind of a part of the game, and then you kind of, depending on the tournament, depending on the match, it's expected almost. It's not expected in the NFL. Ties aren't a thing in the NFL. It's almost major news if there's a tie, because it's like, why are we tying? This isn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. And they had 10 minutes of overtime, which soccer games typically don't have, in order to figure it out. And neither team looked interested in scoring, Chris. They were just like, let's just... And then they did they flex the next game against these teams? Are we going to get to witness on primetime television, the Giants and Commanders tying again? Because that feels like where it's headed.
I want to know.
It feels like it's going to go to another tie. Has there ever been a matchup of two teams that played twice, so division rival, where they tied both games? Because I want to see it. Now I want to see it, Chris. I want to see those two teams tie again.
I may sprinkle a little bit on a tie on the best, one of my best bets. Maybe not my best bet. Maybe it'll just be a general bet that I'll throw out there and sprinkle a little bit money on the tie, knowing it's a high probability that it won't happen, but knowing that I think there's more of a probability than people think. So, just saying.
Yeah. So in this game, I don't know. The defense for the Giants is playing pretty decent, but might be overmatched by Philly's offense. And the offense for the Giants is kind of bogged down. Saquon's started really hot and is kind of cooled off a little bit in that run game. He's still a beast, don't get me wrong, but AJ Brown's a monster on the other side. Chris, I told you in Tennessee that AJ Brown is a monster, right? I've been preaching AJ Brown for forever.
He's your boy.
And guess what? I was so right that the Tennessee Titans fired their GM mid-season this week for his trade of AJ Brown. I think that's what it came down to. And all you've seen is, did you see the clip of when that trade went down and how Mike Vrabel reacted in the war room? Like, he got up and he put his hands on his head and he shook his head like he hated the move. So me and Mike Vrabel, right? John Robinson out of a job because AJ Brown's a monster that Tennessee should have never traded. Never traded.
They made a mistake there. I think that, I mean, I was shocked on draft night when I was in Vegas, in the Vegas stadium covering the draft, and I saw that. I was shocked. I was like, what are we doing? What? And sure enough, it costed the guy his job.
And people will be like, oh, but you're fine with the Chiefs moving on from Tyreek and the capital they've got. There's one large difference there, Chris. One large difference. Okay? One team has Patrick Mahomes as their QB. The other has Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
Who might be more reliant on elite wide receiver? Between Ryan Tannehill and Patrick Mahomes.
Tannehill needs a little help.
Yeah. Help out your mid quarterback. Okay? Patrick Mahomes clearly is proving that he can get it done with just about anybody. And that's fine. But don't come at me with like that. That is the same comparison, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll get salty again, Rec. Don't challenge me to get salty again.
He'll get salty. Next up, we got Bucks and 49ers in this one. The 49ers hosting Tampa Bay, coming from the East Coast. 3.5 point favorites. 37 is the over-under, which means there's not going to be a lot of points in this one. And that's basically due to, one, the Buccaneers haven't been looking great. And two, you got Purdy coming in, Mr. Irrelevant for the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy is good, says Rec. I mean, here's the thing. If there's one team that can survive a second or third string quarterback, it's probably the 49ers, based off of the roster being as good as they are and based off of the fact that Kyle Shanahan can draw up some plays for the man and they can protect him a little bit.
Say to the face.
What? Chris. Slap.
I don't know what you read wrong there. I missed it too. I don't know.
Minus 3.5, 37 over under. What did I miss there? What did I miss?
I don't know. I missed it too.
I missed it, Rec. Maybe call me out. Do it. The more I know. Al Michaels has become a terrible broadcaster. I mean, okay.
He's just at the point where he just is in it for the paycheck. and unfortunately the mix with Herb Street has just
not really
worked. And I think I blame Al Michaels more than I do, because I love Herb Street and I've loved Al Michaels over the years. I just think Al Michaels is just now like, I don't give a fuck. I'm old. I'm going to say whatever I want. I'll talk when I want. He just doesn't do. And I think now that he's on Amazon, I think he has he feels like he has more freedom to just do whatever the hell he wants. Like, what are you going to do? Not pay me? Yeah, you need me. I'm Al fucking Michaels. And I respect that, but also not a great experience for the fans.
Oh, my bad, Breck. I see what you're saying. Brock is pretty good. Oh, so you had a little hi-oh kind of. All right, my bad. I just reversed Brock Purdy is good. That's all. My bad. My dyslexia kicked in. It's all good.
I think that was you're judging Chris a little too hard. Okay, he's trying to host a show and at the same time read the chat. Just relax, Rack. All right.
I should get
Relax.
I should get the relaxed sound bite. The RELAX.
Oh well, you can't spell apparently. Did you almost misspell that, Chris?
No,
I felt like you were headed a different direction.
I mean, I've only had one shot at tequila tonight, so it's fine.
Okay. Did we ever see a world in this year where like Brock Purdy would be favored by 3.5 over Tom Brady?
Nope.
And I'm not gonna touch this game. I don't know what.
I don't know.
I don't know how to feel. The Bucks got absolutely dominated on Monday Night Football, and the Saints literally threw that game away. And then Brady did like this bullshit at the end where somehow they pull out this bullshit win. They're a bad team. The 49ers are a good team that now has this quarterback that stepped in last week, but like this kind of eliminates them. Now there's like rumors out there that maybe Jimmy G could get back for the playoffs. Part of me is like, Jimmy G. No offense to Jimmy G, but he's a little soft. I don't think he's rushing back at any point, especially when they drafted and replaced him with a different quarterback. He's not putting his future on the line to help you. And that's an instance where I say, good job, Jimmy. Say, go fuck yourselves because you abandoned me. You traded like a wealth of things to get Trey Lance. Trey Lance gets hurt. I come in. I look great. Now, what do I have? I have nothing moving forward. I don't have a contract. I don't know you shit. 49ers. All right? That's not even my coming in hot, but Jimmy G owes the 49ers nothing. He should not play another down this year. They should have to roll with Brock Purdy and see what the hell happens. And maybe Brock Purdy played okay in the last game, so maybe that'll be fine. And maybe that hurts his draft stock, not draft stock, free agency for Jimmy if like this random dude just plays well. But I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this game. I don't want to watch this game. Any game that has the over-under of 37, I'm probably not watching, Chris. Probably not watching.
It's going to be a rough go. But
I mean, 37? 37? And Denver's not even in this game. So I don't know how this number's that low.
Oh, can you imagine a game of the 49ers and Broncos?
Well, it already happened this year.
But I mean, now
and it was like 11-10. I think the final was 11-10. Chris.
The over/under set it. What's the lowest over/under ever set? It's got to be what? Like, I mean, 22. Can we set a line at 22? Oh my goodness! Because the last one was 11-10, and it was like 21 points. So 22 would be perfect for that game. I couldn't imagine seeing a 22-point spread ever, but. You know, I think if Purdy was playing against the Denver defense and this 49ers was playing with this quarterback and Russ not scoring points, man, you got to set that over under early on to probably like 20 and 21 and a half. That's a baseball score, right, B-Dub? Rockies 11, Giants 10. Yeah, we're looking at baseball scores now. But yeah, the Bucks struggled. Diacola mentioned it earlier in the chat. Where, you know, she was like, what the hell is wrong with like Brady and that offense?
Well, he's like 47 years old.
He is 47.
I think that's probably what's wrong. Yeah. Look at him. Look at him in this picture. And that is a real shot. That is him.
That was taken this week.
That's accurate. That's not you know, there's no filters on that.
No.
Roger. Hashtag no filter.
No.
I don't know. I think that's still a thing.
That was taken from Instagram from earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. As real as Memphis's car. By the way, we never heard from Memphis.
Memphis bailed. He got out of here quick. I didn't even care that he made it up. I just wanted to be like,
poor Memphis.
Once he posted, like, I was like, all right, he made like his car into something.
Oh no!
Like, who makes it? But that is weird to make up, right? Like, that's a weird thing to make up. And you pointed that out. You're like, I don't think someone will just come in here and be like actively making this up. And then I Google it and I find it, and it's only because I looked at the picture and I'm like, that's a professional picture.
It looks like a stock photo. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Deco Scott, you were mean. I don't think I was mean.
No,
I don't care.
I don't think he was mean. I think it was. I mean, I was kind of calling him out because I was like, "Is this real? Is this real?" Like, I called it out. By the way,
I literally didn't care that he made it up. I just wanted him to like admit it. That's all. And then he could have chilled. That's fine.
Yeah, we appreciate.
Make up something else the next week.
It's a weird
whatever. I don't care.
It's a weird flex coming in, and that's your. Yeah.
I embarrassed him.
No,
I mean, what was I supposed to do once I Googled it and I found the photo? What was I supposed to do?
All right.
What was I supposed to do?
No. If you're going to come in to this chat or any chat and start throwing out stuff like that, you better cover your tracks because we're going to look it up and we will make sure if it's real or fake or not. Like, we'll call you out. Like, we're not afraid to call you out on sports takes. We're not afraid to call you out on a lot of things. If you're going to come in with stuff like that and you're going to post it and like again, I hope he becomes a fan of the show. I hope he like Memphis comes back and he's a part of what we do. But if you can't take a little bit of criticism or like a little bit of truth,
I wasn't even criticizing.
No,
I just called him out on his bullshit.
Well, that's true.
I don't care that he brought bullshit. I really don't.
It was funny though. I appreciate it.
The moment I saw that photo, I'm like, no, that's not his car.
Of all the things,
and then I had to Google it.
Of all the things to come in a chat and just be like, I'm gonna own this take. It was a Christmas car. It's such a random thing. It's so random.
I mean, and what set it off was it was so clearly that license plate was not
an American.
Was not American, which is weird because it was made by like Nissan and whatever, but like it was not American plate. So it was like, and your name's Memphis, and what's happening? But you live in New Jersey or something? And no, I mean. Mm-mm. I honestly don't care that he made it up. I think it's kind of funny a little bit. But
I think it's great that he
I just knew it was fake, so I had to call it out on it.
I think it's great that he posted it in there and the confidence that he did, like in the Discord. Love it that he joined the Discord. Yep. So he
joined the Discord. That's helpful.
Unless he totally just like left instantly.
Memphis, come back. Make something else up.
Ravens and Steelers here. We got week 14 previews still continuing on. Steelers favored in this one, -2.5. Ravens, obviously Lamar Jackson got hurt in the last matchup with the Broncos. So I think, Scotty, this is kind of an overreaction to what the Ravens really are. I think the Ravens have gotten better defensively. I think they've really gotten to a point where, they can focus on a game plan that kind of maybe throws the ball a little bit more with the backup quarterback. F the Ratbird, says Reckoning. I get it. I know they're playing your boys, Rec. I know that, but I am teasing as one of my best bets on one of my legs of my best bets, the Ratbirds, as you call them, Rec, up to +8.5. I think this is a great spot. I think overall they can keep this game close. And I think they could, make this a game where it's a perfect teaser candidate. I think that they can cover 8.5 in this matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers team, who I don't expect to score a ton of points. I think they'll keep it closer, but this one, Football Wife's like, you better win. Steelers should win, Rec. But do they do it by, do they? First of all. Second of all, do they do it by at least 9 points? I don't think so. I think the Ravens keep this one close. And this one is one of my best bets of the week. Scotty, what do you think? Over-under also set at 37. Low scoring game in this one projected. We saw what Huntley did against the Broncos and what didn't look great.
A lot of offenses haven't looked great. And you put Huntley in a bad position having to come in
against a good,
defense. In a game he was, I'm on the same page as you, Chris. So I also, it's not the same teaser, but I have the Ravens in a teaser. I teased them up to 8.5 because historically, what do we know about a Ravens-Steelers game? Historically, what we know is it's basically seems like every single time it comes down to a field goal game. It's always close. Doesn't matter. Last year the Ravens lost the Steelers in some weird situations, like, and then the Steelers got better and whatever. Like, every single year, it doesn't matter between these two teams. When they play, the game is close.
Yep.
So I love teasing up the Ravens. I think that's a layup to get to 8.5. There's no way. There's no way they don't cover 8.5 here. I actually think the wrong team. I think people are overreacting to Lamar being out. If Lamar is playing in this game, that probably flips this spread at least, right? It's probably Baltimore minus 2.5. In a low scoring affair, like, it's not like the Steelers offense is going to pop off by any means. I'd also lean Ravens plus 2.5, but I took him in one of my, like, if I could take any teaser all week, all year, I think the Ravens plus 8.5 is the most comfortable teaser I could take at any point this season. I just don't think the Steelers are going to blow out the Ravens by any means this week.
Standard teaser, in case you're new to like betting, is about 6 points is the standard teaser here. Yep. So taking a team that's getting 2.5, and then teasing it up to 8.5 is a pretty standard teaser. Mama Murphy in the chat: Panthers upset the Seahawks out of nowhere. Watch. Ooh, I like that.
That line has been bizarre to me this week.
It's interesting,
and I didn't bet it, but it was weird.
I was on a different aspect of that game, but we'll touch on that. I'll touch on that a little later here. So don't worry, Mama Murphy. We'll talk a little bit about that one too. He's a perfect counter for the Ravens, says Rec. Steelers win because Greg Roman is so bad that our bargain bin coaching staff can decipher them.
But don't you think? I don't know. I mean, Matt Canada is not going to do shit. The fact that Reckoning likes finally the Steelers to win makes me like the Ravens even more.
Oh no!
I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
Canada's not better than anybody. You're wrong. It's not better than anybody.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
and not even close to Greg Roman.
I mean,
Canada's way worse.
This line was -4 on the look ahead, by the way, but for the Ravens,
Yeah.
But the quarterback downgrade from Lamar Jackson to Tyler Huntley was moved here, which, fair considering Jackson's talent, but Huntley, I mean, I think.
How good has Lamar been playing the last 5 weeks prior to this, where this should be the downgrade? That's too big of a downgrade.
Yeah, I mean, he brings rushing ability to the table, but it's not like Jackson was shining as a passer for much of the year either. I think I just think this is going to be overreaction of, oh, Lamar is such a good passer, such a good runner. He makes it. I mean, Huntley can still get the job done. I think it's a massive, massive overreaction to put this as Steelers -2.5.
If this gets to Steelers -3 at any point, I'd put a massive bet on the Ravens.
Yeah. No, I mean, I almost love them just against the normal spread. Forget teasing at 3 more so than I do now at 2.5, but I like that a lot.
I love Rec. He's like, you don't know how bad Roman is. And then he says, how he has a job, I don't understand. Are you talking about Roman or Canada? Because I think they both apply. And then hot take, Steelers win if the Ravens have Lamar. Who's your team, Rec? Who's your team?
Game of the century, Broncos at Rams Christmas Day. We'll talk about that later on. Don't worry. Hot take, Steelers win if the Ravens have Lamar. Hot take, Steelers win if the Ravens have Lamar. I don't know. QB don't matter. I don't know, Rec. I don't know about that one. A team that has Lamar has never been able to figure out what, All right. They barely beat.
Rex just super excited about his 5-7 team. Let him go off.
They barely beat Denver, says Football Wife. Denver just here's the thing.
Denver loses a lot of close games.
They lose
because their defense is pretty damn good.
Their defense is really good, and they're able. I mean, I don't know if you've seen my TikTok recently, guys. Go look at my TikTok. Part of how I watch a game, it's pretty painful. But at the very end, there's always a chance, regardless of how good the team the Broncos are playing, they've played some really, really good teams, and they've kept them close based off of how good the defense is, not how good the offense is. So with that being said, even an offense like Ravens struggling against the Denver defense, you should keep that in mind also with this matchup here, because Ravens struggled against the Broncos, sure, but Denver defense has been playing good against everybody. It doesn't matter. Baltimore's offense was hot garbage against bad teams. It'll be close, but Steelers should pull it out.
Rec, throw a bet in the Discord. Straight up. I don't even need the line.
Ooh.
I'll do straight up.
What are we betting? Let's go.
Throw something out and we'll see.
Rex like, all right, cool.
Look at this dude.
All right.
And I hate the Ravens, so
they struggled against Carolina's D, says Rec. All right. Well, we'll find out. Throw the bet out there. We'll get to it here in a little bit. Browns at...
And this honestly might be, Rec, because I'm so sick of hearing, and I've said this before, somehow on my Twitter feed, I constantly get this Filipponi, whatever his name is, Andrew, that's like a beat reporter for the Steelers, and he's talking about trying to convince everyone in the world that Kenny Pickett's good. I don't know how to block him because I'm not even following him. I'm not following him.
Twitter's algorithm.
How do you block someone that you're not following?
The algorithm is like it just sucks you back in.
Maybe you can do that. Maybe I'll check. Can you block someone you're not following? I don't know. But
AFC North matchup here. Follow him, then block him. Oh, there you go. Easy. Okay. Fair enough. AFC North matchup on the other end of the spectrum here. Browns at Bengals. Bengals -6 in this matchup against Watson and the Browns. 47 is the over-under set here in this matchup. Scotty, you have a best bet in this one. What are your thoughts on the Browns and Bengals?
I honestly don't even understand this line. I really don't. And maybe I'm just completely off on the Browns, but I don't think so. I don't think everyone else is right about the Browns. The Browns get their Lord and Savior. I don't want to say Lord and Savior. Their quarterback. Their guy they sold their soul to, actually. And that's why I don't want to say Lord and Savior. They're Satan. They're devil back, or whatever you want to call him. Deshaun Watson. And they go against the worst team in football, right?
Yep.
Remind me, how many touchdowns did the offense score against the worst team in football?
None.
None? No, that can't be. They put up 27 points, Chris.
They scored some special teams, some defensive. They didn't put up a touchdown offensively, Scotty.
Yeah. They had 2 defensive touchdowns because the Texans weren't even starting their best quarterback. Kyle Allen started last week for the second time. They're going back to Davis Mills, long neck Mills, by the way, this week against the Cowboys. But the Browns, Deshaun Watson looked like shit in the preseason. I saw tape of camp. He looked like ass. And then he looked like ass against the worst team in football last week. And we expect them to go on the road to the Bengals, who are clearly catching their stride, clearly offensively playing really well, getting Jamar Chase back, which is a big deal. And not to mention, I bet on the Bengals against the Browns on that Monday Night Football game on Halloween. It didn't go well.
Nope.
The Browns beat the shit out of the Bengals. You don't think the Bengals are going to be ready for this one and be like, no, this isn't happening again? I think the Bengals win this game by more than 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I'm taking Bengals. I'm riding. Come on, football wife. Let's go. I think Bengals. I just don't understand why the Browns. I think the Browns with Deshaun Watson, at least this season, maybe not moving forward, but Deshaun Watson with how long he hasn't played and where the lack of practice he has gotten with these guys, he's a downgrade at quarterback this year for them over Brissett. I mean, so for them to for the line to only be 6 to me is just wild. And the over under at 47, like, I mean, the Bengals are putting up at least 27 in this minimum.
I mean, Bengals win this game. I mean, this is a game. Obviously, we all root against the Browns. We all root about what they stand for, what they play for. With this whole Watson deal coming in, it's just it doesn't feel good. But taking that out of the equation, he did not look good, and it's taking him a little time to get up to speed. He's rusty. He's not used to being in NFL action. He's been out of the game for a long time, and going up against a team with an offense as good as the Cincinnati Bengals, I just think that keeping up the speed with this offense is going to be a tough task for Deshaun Watson. And the pressure for him to keep that pedal to the metal here, I think he's maybe creating some turnovers here. I think the Bengals maybe, kind of get some pressure on him a little bit here and there throughout the course of this game. I'm with you. I didn't make it one of my best bets of the week, but Scotty, I mean, if I were to lean one way or another on this spread, it would be Bengals -6 based off of the fact that the Browns, we were talking about casually in average in the chat. Technically, Houston beat themselves. An impressive feat, I might add. Yeah, I think you got to
definitely did.
You got to.
They were the only team that scored an offensive touchdown in that game,
and they were and they're a bad team. And the Browns, I mean, they're not going to have that same success defensively, special teams wise, against the Bengals team that's better coached, has more talent. It's not going to happen. So I'm kind of with you here. I think this is a wake up call for the Browns. I think they got gifted a win without even being able to do anything offensively. Cuban Benny, what's up, Cuban? I know you've been, if you're just joining us, first of all, check your DMs, Cuban, in our Discord. Check your DMs. Also, when MPJ got on Instagram, my account was his only block of the season. Hey, hi-yo.
Hey, we're losing without him, though.
We're losing without
a lot of 3-game losing streak without MPJ.
Can I say, did you watch the TNT game last night?
I did. I actually did not.
Jamal Murray looked bad.
It's the story of Jamal the first half of every year. He's so inconsistent. He'll figure. Chris, I have very high confidence.
I know
that he will figure it out. You know who? But ironically, I'll say the same thing. In that fourth quarter last night, they should have, and I get why they didn't, because they need Murray down the road, but Bones was the better player. Bones should have been in him instead of Murray.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
I mean, Murray was playing probably the worst defense I've ever seen him play in my entire life. I mean, the way he was closing out on the 3-point line, the way he was, I mean, it was bad, but I mean, I think there's some other things going on there. He's getting back up to speed with a lot of things. Like, I'm not worried about it. He'll be good. Don't worry.
Cuban, help me out real quick, because you obviously think MPJ is the worst defensive player ever. Why does the Nuggets defense still suck when MPJ doesn't play? Why are they still garbage?
It's still bad.
Dog shit.
It's still bad.
I mean, the defense, which is so ironic because they have individual defenders that should equal the defense being better this year, but it's not, Chris. It's not even close. It sucks right now, and it probably comes down to effort. There's just not effort.
No. Rec in the chat, what's your favorite food? Maybe I'll make something and mail it out to you.
So your bet is to make food and then mail it to me, and it's going to be good?
I mean, it's not going to be fresh, but it'll be something, I guess. Unless it's like one of those, like,
what's your specialty, Rec? Like, what if you could make one meal?
Ooh, good call.
Like, cause I like all food. Look at me, I like food. All right. What do you do best?
Scott Hastings is hilarious as Cuban. He had a nice little thing with Charles Barkley. With the old school, like, when he threw the haymaker at, I mean, he was jumping on the pile trying to get a cheap shot on Charles Barkley. It's always good. Hastings is a local guy here in Colorado. I think Murray is hurt and doesn't want to go back to the sideline. That could be part of it.
Maybe, but he also had him, like, he was cleared last year and didn't want to play because he was mentally not ready. So he kind of that kind of tells me if he was actually hurt, he'd probably be out. I think he's just inconsistent. He has good games and then really bad games, which is kind of the story of Murray's career a little too much, especially for Chris's liking.
Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna try to get that stream going tomorrow for the NBA. I'm a little behind on putting it all together, but I'm gonna try. You got to be following our socials though and Discord. There's the socials and Discord in the chat. If we do, it'll be on YouTube. I'm gonna try to get that situated, but bear with me. I'm still like this. It's busy, so I'm trying to get that stream on YouTube going. I can grill a mean steak, but mail it out. Maybe some puppy chow. Don't
Rick,
worry.
I'm not trying to be mean here, but you're gonna mail me as part of a bet puppy chow? Anybody can make puppy chow.
Bruh.
That's not even. That's just you literally look up the ingredients, you throw it in a bag, and you shake it. Okay, it's Chex Mix, it's peanut butter, it's chocolate, it's sugar, it's. No, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna approve of any bet that equals you mailing me puppy chow.
Hey,
I know what puppy chow is. I like puppy chow, but anybody can make puppy chow.
Broncos and Chiefs flexed out of Sunday Night Football. Scotty's upset about it, but you know what? I mean, he's still you're still going to the game. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So
I am going to.
You'll be going to the
I'll
game.
be surrounded by like probably 50,000 Broncos,
which is gonna make tomorrow night's or Sunday night stream. I said tomorrow. Sunday night stream very spicy. Spicy. So we're gonna make sure that you guys know exactly what's happening for Sunday Night Football because we got that Miami and Chargers matchup flexed in. So we'll have a lot of fun with that because Scotty will probably have a few beverages at the game, feeling really good coming home. And Chiefs Broncos, Chiefs minus 9.5. Scotty, you are on a side here, and it's maybe surprising to some. Over under 43. What do you like in this matchup, and what do you think will happen?
I'm going to the game. I have a weird. Maybe it's a gut instinct. Maybe it's because I'm going and I expect like disappointment a little bit. I think the Chiefs still win, but I think this game's close. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I mean, you literally have a quarterback that has his helmet on backwards, Chris. And maybe someone should correct that. Like that would be maybe it would be better if he could see out of his helmet. But everyone in Denver's like, everyone on the radio is like, oh, Denver's gonna get blown out. They're getting annihilated. This is gonna be ugly. And I'm just like, everyone thought that, last year at the end of the season, Denver was dog shit. Chiefs had a lot on the line. That game was neck and neck, and the Chiefs got like a fumble return touchdown that like won them the game. I part of me just thinks like this game's gonna. If you like the Broncos, if you want to bet the Broncos plus 9.5, I would parlay that with the under and make that a 2-part bet. Because if the Broncos are gonna stay within 9.5, you need the under to hit it as well. Which they hit the under all the time. I'll be at this game. I'll be excited. I think there might be more Chiefs fans at this game than Broncos fans, honestly. Because there's a ton of Chiefs fans in Colorado, and Broncos fans aren't exactly jumping at the opportunity to go to games these days. Yeah, everyone's figuring out that Russell. Two quick fun facts for me for that I want to say about the Broncos, Chris. Chris, if you had to pick a team as a Broncos fan that you should hate the most, who would it be? What team do you hate the most?
The team that I hate the most. I mean, I think I know kind of where you're going with this. I mean, the Chiefs have beat us 13 straight times.
It's not the Chiefs.
And I know that that's kind of got to play in, but the Chiefs are also very good. And there's no reason for me to like want to say the Chiefs, but I mean, I could see why most people would say the Chiefs. I look at our AFC division rivals, Chargers and Raiders. I think those are more hated in a lot of ways. So, I mean, I would start there over the Chiefs, knowing that. I mean, I think Chargers is always kind of one of my top hated teams going into every season.
You're so incredibly wrong. And Mr. Boofus Doofus here in the chat nailed it.
So, Seattle.
Nailed it.
Well,
Seattle, and it's threefold, Chris. It's not onefold. It's threefold. Okay. Let's go back to that Super Bowl that Seattle and Denver played in. Obviously, didn't go great for Denver,
Sure.
right? They lost by about 1 million. Point one. And I'll jump to point 3 now, which is the obvious one. Obviously, the trade this offseason for Russell Wilson, giving up all the draft picks, signing Russell Wilson this long-term deal, hampering your franchise moving forward, devastating stuff. That's number 2. Can you name number 3? Number 3 is actually the most difficult to figure out. But it involves another trade with Seattle in the last, I would say probably 5 or 6 years, and it involved a trade in the draft.
I'm trying to think back on. No, I mean, throw it out there. Enlighten me.
So the Broncos traded up in the first round of the draft. I don't remember specifically, 5 or 6 years ago. And Rex got it.
Paxton?
Rex got it. They traded up with Seattle. They traded to Seattle's pick to take Paxton Lynch in the first round.
Paxton, the Pirate.
I mean, how do you not hate Seattle more than any other franchise? They've ruined you. They've ruined you.
Yeah.
And I told this to people at work, and they're like, but it's not Seattle's fault. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying right now. So if you hate a franchise like the Chiefs for beating you every time, is that the Chiefs' fault for beating you every time? I don't understand that argument. It was super weird. Anyway, I have one more thing to say about the Broncos. There was an article, I think on Yahoo, I want to say today, that said in the last 3, well, it didn't even, I'm going to phrase it this way, but it was a draft pick that has set the Broncos franchise back more than maybe any other draft pick in recent history. Let's go back the last 3 years. What's the draft pick that the Broncos have made that has set the franchise back more than anything in the last 3 years?
Was it?
And I'm super excited about this one.
Drew Lock?
Nope.
Oh, no, wait.
He wasn't the last 3 years.
So you had Drew Lock, you had Paxton Lynch. That was a bad one. I'm trying to think.
You're going to be mad about this one, but I think it's right.
All right,
Cuban makes a good throw out there. Jerry Jeudy would be a good one. But nay, Chris. Nay.
I mean, I thought Bradley Chubb was a little bit of a reach.
Bradley Chubb is actually the other argument that could be really, really good. Because obviously you get Josh Allen there, but Josh Allen at that time was just kind of like, Josh Allen, his first 2 years in the league was...
Bradley Chubb was a rough one,
there.
and he never panned out based off of where his draft stock and where he was officially drafted. He never panned out. I still think he's one of the most overrated players in the NFL.
Chris, I'm gonna lay it out for you here.
Go ahead.
What if I told you the player that was picked that has hurt the Denver Broncos franchise in the draft more than any other player in the last 3 years is also the jersey you own? Patrick Surtain.
Patrick Surtain. Okay, all right, fair enough. What?
The reasoning is simple, Chris. And this was an article on Yahoo, on like their sports website, and it regards like if you take Justin Fields there, and Justin Fields, I'm not saying the jury's still out in Justin Fields, right? But there's still a lot to like about Fields and his potential moving forward. Right?
True.
We've agreed that out of that draft class, he's probably the best. So if you take Fields, and then you know what you don't do? You don't trade your draft capital for Russell Wilson. You don't have Russell Wilson, and you don't have $240 million on the books. You look substantially different. And don't get me wrong, obviously Patrick Surtain's a great player.
No.
Obviously.
I get what you're saying.
Obviously. But that pick potentially could be the most regrettable pick they have by not taking a quarterback. Even if Fields isn't it, like Cuban put it here, even if he's not the guy, it saved you from trading all this capital and money
You're
to
not
invest in Russell Wilson.
You're not in a situation. I get that aspect of it, but I said this after we drafted Patrick Surtain. I was like, okay, you drafted a defensive player that is very talented and is one of the best defensive players you could possibly draft. It's kind of like the Von Miller kind of vibe where, you knew what you were getting and you knew he was going to pan out. Now, does that take precedence? And I said this after the draft. I was like, do the Broncos make a mistake in not drafting a quarterback, knowing that that's the most important? Because the success of a defensive player versus the success of a quarterback is not even close. You will the ceiling that.
But what about the impact?
Elevate your team. No, and I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
The ceiling of a defensive player versus the ceiling of a quarterback are completely they're not even close. So if you're gonna take a gamble on one position to see if you got a guy, you probably need to explore that on the quarterback side, knowing that it's gonna be paying off for you more so. Now, we got burned on a lot of quarterbacks that we drafted in the past. That's a John Elway thing. But now we're looking at a situation where we have a great defensive player, but what does that do for your offense and what does that do for you winning games? It doesn't do much because the ceiling isn't as high and how it elevates a team. Now, if you take that and put that into Russell Wilson and what that means, we wouldn't have made a trade for Russell Wilson because we'd still be trying to figure out what we have with a quarterback potentially. So in that respect, you are correct in the fact that, yeah, it was a domino effect in how it changed the fortunes of the Denver Broncos and how we went about going and getting Russell Wilson.
And Cuban puts out there Peyton, the GM for the Broncos. That was his first pick he's ever made as the GM last year, or 2 drafts ago. Didn't want to make his first pick a gamble. And ironically, that could be the pick that's saving his job because Peyton's not in danger. Somehow Peyton was the GM that literally picked Nathaniel Hackett as the new head coach, maybe the worst head coaching hire we've ever seen. And ironically, what I think is saving him is his drafts and mostly like, oh, we took Patrick Surtain. He looks great. But when you really look at the big picture, it was a tremendous mistake. Oh my gosh, Reckon. That's not real.
Okay.
That's not real.
We got to move on. By the way, I would be on the other side of this guy. Anytime the Broncos and Chiefs play, you always are on the Broncos side, and I'm always on the Chiefs side when it comes to the spread.
Well, here's the thing. I have nothing to lose. I either win my bet or the Chiefs blow them out, and I feel good either way.
Yeah. Denver has just 14 touchdowns in 12 games. I have no faith that they'll hit 17 points in any given game.
Chris, real quick, one more thing. There's only Travis Kelce had 4 touchdown receptions in one game for the Chiefs, which surpasses anyone on the Broncos this season because they only have 8 touchdown receptions, right?
Yeah.
Total as a team.
Yeah.
There's only one player on the Broncos that has more than 1 touchdown catch this year. Can you name that player real quick? Go.
There's one player that has more than
one player that has 3. Everyone else, there's 5 other guys with 1 touchdown catch on the Broncos. Yes, we're in week 14. And 1 guy with 3. Who's got the 3?
Is it a running back?
No. Touchdown. This is receptions. This isn't total touchdowns. Touchdown receptions.
Touchdown receptions. It's not Sutton. It's not Judy. It's like, is it one of our like no-name guys that like I don't even remember his name?
I'll help you out. It is Judy.
Is it Judy?
It is Judy.
Judy's missed so many
3
games. I thought he maybe had a couple, but I didn't think he had 3.
Well, and the only one I can think back to is that opening week against Seattle. He had that long, fluky, underthrown catch that he took to the house. But, yeah.
But either way, I mean, 2 losses for the Chiefs, beating the Bucks, 49ers on the road by double digits. So they won those ones. Broncos.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Broncos aren't anywhere near the caliber of those teams. Again, I think that if the Broncos score 17 points, it's a miracle. And if the Chiefs are probably covering, they're going to get to 27, which I think is doable for the Chiefs in this matchup, even against the good Denver D. I see why, they could be a close game, but
this feels like I don't know, like a 2016 game to
this
me.
Could also be a
23-16 maybe. 24-16.
I mean, it could be a quick get in, get out for the Chiefs. Like, hey, we're going to get up by 10 knowing the Broncos can't score and we're just going to coast. So I could see that too.
And again, if you like the Broncos plus 9.5, don't only bet that. Bet that with the under, because if the Broncos are keeping it close, that means it's a low scoring game and you like the under.
So Rex got some breaking news. Scott's going to touch on this in a minute.
Sorry, before I start, I have to do a Code Yellow real quick.
Code Yellow spam in the chat. We're going to get to Scott's coming in hot here, and it may be related to something Rec has in the chat. Also, Cuban Benny, Broncos game might be rescheduled to Friday nights with the rest of the high school teams. You're not wrong. I mean, you might be in a good spot there.
Roger.
With that prediction. I got a notif of MLB app. Let's see what else. Padres think they're the Yankees trying to bully teams with money, says Boofus. Let's just say Scott's got something to say about that here coming up. Try not to laugh at the tears, says Cuban. Yeah, it's a rough go. Let's just put it like it is. But that's going to put a wrap on week 14 of the NFL. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about our best bets here. And I kind of went back and forth with my last bet. So we talked a lot about some of these. Las Vegas is one that I have on my list of picks of the week. Las Vegas, I think, is a sure thing to beat the Rams by this margin here of 6. This is the spread here for this matchup. Over under, by the way, in that one is 43.5. So not a lot of points going to be probably scored. Probably like a little below to average on this one. But Raiders have now won 3 straight as they keep trying to make their playoffs hopes, in keep them in front of them, right? So I think that this is a massive game for them to win against a bad team. John Wolford at quarterback for this could have Bryce Perkins under center with Wolford suffering a neck injury. Perkins getting limited time to prepare on a short week. That matters. And, I just think that this is going to be a tough situation for the Rams, given the fact that they don't have any offensive, prowess. They can't figure out what they're doing. Their defense hasn't looked good. The Raiders proved 2 weeks ago that they're better than Seattle. So why isn't there a 7 to 8 point range in this one? I think this is a nice value here for the Raiders. I think the Raiders cover 6 in this matchup. I think that they could beat the Rams by that, a bad Rams team. Miami, we already talked about. I love them to win this matchup. Baltimore and Minnesota both teased up to 8.5. Love that. And then the last one that we didn't cover here in this one is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this is I'm going out on a limb and just saying I would rather tease this one up. It's a better teaser. Scotty did this. And I think I like the teaser more than I like my bet, but I still love my bet. New England's offense has played once in their last 5. They haven't played any pass defenses that have been, I don't know. I don't think that they've had a good situation where they've played good ball. They've played some bad off. I mean, awful Minnesota pass D, missing several corners. Arizona isn't. They're a team that I think can have some success here. They struggle against mobile quarterbacks. Baltimore and Chicago in home losses is where I think Arizona has struggled. I think New England's defense and offense can both struggle against Arizona wide receivers who are all healthy, right? So I think that the fact that Arizona is coming back, healthy wide receivers, good options when it comes to running the football with their quarterback, which gives New England trouble. New England has lost all 3 primetime games this year by more than 7 points each. I don't think New England can keep up offensively. I love the teaser better than I love my bet, but I still love Arizona to win this game, getting plus 1.5. I think they win this outright against the New England team that I just don't believe in. But I feel strongly a little bit more about the teaser like Scotty has.
Yeah, I mean, which would make sense if you could have 6 more free points. Why not?
I mean,
feel more strongly about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very close between Arizona and Philly. I was gonna tease Philly down to -1 against the Giants, or take Arizona plus 7.5. I still don't know if I like this, but in my teaser, yeah, I'm taking 2 underdogs, teasing them up to. I love Baltimore. I think Baltimore's layup at plus 8.5. Arizona at plus 7.5. I mean, we've seen the New England offense struggle a little bit. So the other one I didn't touch on, Jacksonville plus 4 at Tennessee. I know, first of all, Tennessee doesn't have a huge home field advantage, and everyone's going to be like, oh, wait, Tennessee's way better than Jacksonville. Tennessee doesn't score points. All Tennessee does is play in close games. I mean, they have. So, Chris, I think they have eclipsed 24 points once this season. And that was 27. They're we talk about Denver's offense being bad. The Tennessee Titans have eclipsed 24 points once this season, and it was 27. They've never scored more than 27. I think Jacksonville obviously played like both these teams played like garbage last week. I think Jacksonville bounces back. This feels like a field goal game to me. So if I can get 4 points, that number at 4 is really important to me. With Jacksonville, I feel great about that. I like that bet a lot.
Yeah. Otherwise, we agree on Baltimore, Arizona, Minnesota. We both are kind of feel good about as well, as far as like some of the other bets that we have on this. I think we get back on track.
You obviously talked about Vegas.
Yeah, I talked about.
Why do you like Vegas?
So yeah, Vegas is a team that I just think is going to be in a good spot here. They've won 3 straight. Try to keep their playoff hopes alive, so they have something to play for. LA last week, even though that matchup featured, they had John Wolford, but they have Bryce Perkins under center with Wolford suffering the neck injury. Limited time to prepare on a short week matters. I think there's a lot of aspects of why Vegas at home in this matchup just feels like the best spot here. The effort, the offensive weapons, the defensive effort. I just don't think that it's going to be there for the Los Angeles Rams. The Raiders proved, I said this a little earlier, they're better than Seattle. Why isn't this line in that 7 to 8 point range? I think Vegas is a nice value here at -6. I think they could win this by at least a touchdown over a really, really bad LA Rams team that is just scrapping to try to figure things out. They did bring in Baker Mayfield, but I mean that's not even
Maker
Bayfield. And he's not going to be ready. I mean, you can't just come in and learn a playbook and be successful. You weren't even good in Carolina.
Well, and he just got added, and they play on Thursday, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
this week.
So Bryce Perkins is the one that's going to be.
And to be fair, Las Vegas at LA, that crowd is going to be very heavily on the Raiders.
Yeah.
There's going to be way more. It's probably 70 to 30 minimum that's going to be Raiders fans over Rams fan. even an L